American-style pickup trucks are hitting Melbourne roads as sales reach record levels, but some fed-up drivers say the vehicles have no place down under.
Across the country, manufacturers are quietly dumping their worst designs into dealerships. Vehicles riddled with known defects, fake branding, and performance so bad it borders on fraud. And the worst part? They're targeting you, the everyday buyer, hoping you never notice what's missing. Why are legacy brands recycling broken engines and old names? How did some of these cars even make it past safety testing? And what happens when you're stuck with the bill long after the company moves on? Because by the end of this video, you'll understand. These weren't mistakes. They were engineered disasters. Hyundai Sonata, it looked like the perfect blend of affordability, sleek design, and daily driving comfort, with clean body lines, an unexpectedly upscale interior, and a long list of features for the price. This mid-size sedan appealed to families, first-time buyers, and commuters alike. For those who wanted an alternative to the Honda Accord or Toyota Camry without sacrificing value, it seemed like a no-brainer. Buyers praised the aggressive pricing, the availability of turbocharged trims, and Hyundai's promise of impressive fuel economy. A lengthy warranty sweetened the deal. On paper, it was a smart, safe choice. What those buyers did not realize was that beneath the styling and spec sheet lurked one of the most disastrous engines ever installed in a modern production vehicle, the Theta 2. Used in Sonatas from the year 2011 through the year 2019, the Theta 2 engine became infamous for catastrophic failure. This was not an issue of minor glitches or an occasional faulty sensor. These engines were destroying themselves. Drivers reported loud knocking, excessive oil consumption, engine stalls, and abrupt power loss, sometimes in high-speed traffic. In the most serious cases, engines burst into flames without warning, leaving behind charred wreckage and shaken owners. The cause? Metal shavings or metallic debris were left inside the engine during the factory machining process. That debris blocked oil flow, increased friction, and led to accelerated bearing wear. The result? Overheating, internal scoring, and full engine seizure. For some drivers, the problem surfaced after years. For others, it happened within months. And if you could not produce perfect maintenance records, your warranty claim might be denied outright. Hyundai's first major recall came in the year 2015, affecting over 400,000 vehicles. By the year 2020, the number ballooned into the millions. Lawsuits mounted. Whistleblowers stepped forward, claiming the company had known about the defect for years but stayed silent. Hyundai extended warranties and agreed to replace many of the engines, yet the damage to its reputation was already baked in. The cruelest blow? Resale value. Any Sonata with a Theta 2 engine became toxic on the used market. Trade-in offers collapsed. Buyers stayed far away. Owners were left with a vehicle that was either a ticking time bomb or a financial anchor. Think that's bad? The next one slapped a muscle car badge on an overpriced electric dud. You've seen the first few disasters. Now stay with us for the full breakdown. Trust me, the next car brand you'll hear about will make you think twice about your next purchase. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a shocking revelation like this. Ford Mustang Mach. It was supposed to be the future of Ford's performance identity, an all-electric vehicle that could carry the Mustang name into a new era of innovation and eco-conscious driving. With its sleek crossover body and aggressive styling cues, the Mach promised speed, utility, and modernity. For many buyers, it checked all the right boxes on paper. A 5-door electric vehicle with serious torque, ample cargo space, and a high-tech cabin packed with features. The appeal was undeniable for those looking to leave gasoline behind while still embracing a sporty aesthetic. It looked like a muscle car dressed in electric clothing, until you dug deeper and realized the promise was mostly skin deep. From the moment Ford announced the Mustang Mach, the backlash began, not from environmental critics or anti-electric vehicle pundits, but from Ford loyalists and Mustang enthusiasts who felt betrayed. For generations, the Mustang had symbolized raw American power, rear-wheel drive performance, and freedom on the open road. Slapping the Mustang name and tail lights onto a crossover electric vehicle struck many as heresy. The move felt less like an evolution and more like a desperate attempt to cash in on a legacy brand. Critics pointed out that Ford could have launched this vehicle under a new nameplate and allowed it to develop its own identity. Instead, they chose to gamble with one of the most iconic names in the automotive world, and the bet backfired hard. Mechanically, the Mach-E also suffered from issues that further tarnished its image. While it delivered solid horsepower and instant torque, many owners reported a host of electrical problems early into ownership, from glitchy infotainment systems to sunroofs spontaneously shattering without warning, the reliability was far from bulletproof. The user experience, particularly in earlier models, often left drivers frustrated, especially when compared to rival electric vehicles from companies with longer histories in the electric space. Despite some positive press and a few initial sales bursts, the reality on dealership lots told a different story. Brand new Mach-E units began piling up, sitting unsold for months, some even for years. Ford was forced to heavily incentivize the vehicle to clear inventory, offering deep discounts and generous financing deals that signaled just how desperate the situation had become. Some dealers even reported 3-year-old stock still sitting idle, untouched, and unwanted. It was a commercial misfire that hurt Ford's bottom line and left many customers skeptical of the company's long-term electric vision. Even Ford itself could not hide the truth. Executives admitted that the company was losing tens of thousands of dollars on every Mach-E produced. Instead of ushering in a profitable electric era, the vehicle turned into a loss leader, draining resources and dividing fans. If you thought Ford got it wrong, wait until you see how General Motors dropped the ball on their most iconic engine, Chevy Silverado. The main appeal of the Chevy Silverado has always been power, real, old-school, naturally aspirated V8 power. For decades, this full-size truck represented American muscle on 4 wheels, built to tow, haul, and outlast the competition. And when General Motors rolled out the 6.2-liter L87 V8 engine, it was supposed to be a triumph. On paper, it had everything: over 400 horsepower, smooth delivery, and the kind of growl that made truck guys grin from ear to ear. It was one of the last true V8s left standing in a sea of turbocharged 6s and hybrid alternatives. For the loyalists, it looked like a final victory. But that roar quickly turned into a groan. Beneath the surface of the L87 engine, something was deeply wrong, and it started with the crankshaft. According to numerous owner reports, technician findings, and internal analysis, the crankshafts in many of these engines were produced outside of acceptable tolerance limits. In simple terms, they were not properly aligned with the rest of the internal components. When the tolerances are off by even a few thousandths of an inch, the engine's bearings cannot seat or function properly. That led to premature bearing wear, oil pressure issues, knocking sounds, and in many cases, full-blown engine failure. It did not stop there. Alongside crankshaft problems, owners also began experiencing lifter collapse and bent push rods, symptoms that hint at deeper systemic failures inside the valve train. Lifters would stick or seize, sometimes within the first few thousand miles. Some Silverado owners reported sudden loss of power, engine misfiring, or warning lights that pointed toward internal component failure. In a growing number of cases, the only viable fix was a complete long block engine replacement. The cost? Reports indicate that replacing an L87 V8 can run up to $10,000. Parts and labor combined. Dealerships across the United States began seeing a steady stream of these trucks roll in with catastrophic engine problems. While some were covered under warranty, others fell into a gray zone of mileage limits and maintenance clauses that left owners footing the bill. And with Silverado sales in the hundreds of thousands each year, the scale of this issue snowballed fast. Some estimates suggest over 800,000 units could be impacted across recent model years, including 2020, 2021, and 2022. From powertrain failure to total personality failure, this next car looks like a rugged sport: Toyota Land Cruiser. The name Land Cruiser once stood as a global symbol of unshakable dependability, trail-ready dominance, and enduring V8 performance. For generations, it was Toyota's answer to the harshest terrain, built to conquer deserts, jungles, and Arctic outposts without complaint. Owners swore by its bulletproof reliability and solid mechanical foundation. The Land Cruiser was the go-to SUV for overlanders, aid organizations, military operations, and families who needed rugged utility wrapped in understated luxury. So when Toyota announced its triumphant return to North America in the year 2024, fans expected something worthy of the badge. What arrived, however, was a confusing shell of its former self, a vehicle that feels more like a marketing experiment than a rightful heir to the Land Cruiser name. At first glance, this redesigned model looks the part, with squared-off fenders, black plastic trim, and a tough stance. The new Land Cruiser borrows visual cues from its legendary forebears. It certainly photographs well, but open the hood, and reality sets in. Gone is the thundering V8 engine that powered past generations. In its place sits a 2.4-liter four-cylinder turbocharged hybrid drivetrain, the same one found in the Toyota Tacoma and the new Lexus TX. Yes, it produces a respectable 326 horsepower, but enthusiasts quickly notice the missing heart. The soulful grunt of a naturally aspirated V8 is nowhere to be found, and that raw power delivery, the kind you could feel through your spine while climbing steep terrain, is simply absent. This Land Cruiser may wear the right clothes, but under the surface it feels like a Tacoma in disguise. It does not get better inside. Unlike older models that offered 3 rows of seating for large families or expedition gear, this version only comes with 2 rows. Toyota decided to make the 3rd row optional in higher trims, or remove it entirely in certain packages. That makes this SUV strangely similar to the Toyota 4Runner, another rugged body-on-frame model, but one that is often cheaper and already well-loved by off-roaders. This redundancy creates a baffling identity crisis within Toyota's own showroom. Why should anyone pay more for a Land Cruiser when the 4Runner does almost the same job for less money? Even the ride quality and interior materials feel middle of the road. While there is decent technology and a fairly composed on-road manner, nothing about this vehicle feels elevated or premium. It is capable, yes, but capable was never the only thing the Land Cruiser stood for. It once had a commanding presence and an aura of unstoppable excellence. This version feels like Toyota tried to modernize the legend by shrinking it in both stature and spirit. Want to laugh even harder? The next entry pretends it's a premium vehicle until you open the door. Nissan Altima mid-size sedans are expected to offer reliability, comfort, and affordability, a practical blend that appeals to commuters and families alike. This one seems to check those boxes on paper. It is widely available at dealerships across the country, typically priced lower than competitors like the Honda Accord or Toyota Camry. From its sculpted front fascia and LED daytime running lights to the option of all-wheel drive, it gives the impression of a smart, well-rounded daily driver. It is no surprise that it has become a fixture in rental fleets. It looks competent, it drives well enough, and it appears to be an economical choice. The key word is appears, because once you dig deeper, the story changes dramatically. Beneath the surface lies one of the automotive industry's most persistent flaws, a continuously variable transmission that has haunted this model for years. Nicknamed the rental rocket, not for its speed, but for its disposable nature, this sedan has earned a reputation for mediocrity and mechanical headaches. Models produced from the year 2013 through the year 2021 have been plagued by chronic transmission issues. It usually starts with hesitation during acceleration, followed by erratic throttle response, then a high-pitched whining sound under load. These symptoms escalate into full transmission failure, often before the car reaches 70,000 miles. Repair cost can easily reach several $1,000s. Worse still, even replacement units often carry the same flawed design, while Nissan has issued technical service bulletins and extended warranties on select models. For many owners, those efforts came too late. Beyond the transmission, the driving experience is dull and uninspired. The steering lacks precision, the suspension crashes over rough roads, and road noise fills the cabin at highway speeds. The optional all-wheel drive may sound impressive, but it adds little real benefit due to the car's lackluster powertrain and poor driving dynamics. This is a vehicle built for fleet service, not for drivers who actually enjoy driving. To make matters worse, insurance premiums tend to be higher than average, partly due to the car's high rate of accident involvement. Combine that with its long list of recalls, class action lawsuits, and declining reliability scores, and the result is clear. Resale value collapses after year 3, turning an affordable purchase into a long-term liability. Now, if you have ever seen this next badge and thought off-road king, think again. It is more mall than mountain. Jeep Compass. There is something undeniably appealing about a rugged-looking compact sport utility vehicle that promises adventure while staying affordable. When a vehicle carries the legacy of one of the most iconic off-road brands in history, expectations naturally run high. The image is bold, muscular stance, squared bodywork, and that unmistakable 7-slot grille, all pointing to capability and confidence on any terrain. This is exactly the illusion the Compass sells. But once you look past the surface, the cracks begin to show, and what you are left with is a disappointing imitation of everything the Jeep name is supposed to represent. Despite its its off-road styling cues, the Compass is shockingly underwhelming when it comes to actual trail performance. The drivetrain, particularly the so-called all-wheel drive system, is better suited to snowy grocery store parking lots than rocky mountain passes. The Trailhawk trim might offer a few gimmicks like hill descent control and slightly more ground clearance, but it still fails basic off-road tasks when compared to more competent crossovers like the Subaru Crosstrek or even older Jeep Patriot models. This is not just a mild letdown, it is a complete contradiction of the brand's heritage. Beneath the hood lies a 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine that produces 177 horsepower and 172 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers sound adequate on paper, but translate into sluggish, real-world performance. Acceleration is lazy, and the 9-speed automatic transmission is poorly calibrated, often hunting for gears at the worst possible times. Whether merging onto highways or passing slower traffic, the Compass feels winded and underpowered. Even in daily driving, the throttle response is uneven and uninspiring. Fuel economy, while tolerable, does not do enough to redeem the underperforming powertrain. Inside the cabin, the situation does not improve. The interior is riddled with hard plastic surfaces, inconsistent fit and finish, and design choices that feel outdated even when compared to more affordable options from Korea or Japan. While the infotainment system is decent in function, the user experience feels like an afterthought. Rear seat legroom is tight, cargo space is limited, and the overall ergonomics suffer from a lack of refinement. It might look like a premium experience in the brochure, but the reality is more rental fleet than rugged explorer. Even more concerning is the long-term value, or lack thereof. The Compass consistently ranks among the lowest in its class for resale, with depreciation setting in far faster than its competitors. Reliability data from independent consumer organizations also paints a grim picture. From engine issues and electronic glitches to transmission complaints, the Compass has built a reputation for being a headache to own after the warranty expires. Owners report problems surfacing within the first few years, often requiring repairs that outweigh the vehicle's residual value. It only gets more painful, especially if you are the kind of buyer who still believes in budget luxury. Infiniti QX60. Luxury buyers often gravitate toward the Infiniti QX60 for its attractive styling, smooth ride, and premium-feeling interior. At first glance, it seems to strike the perfect balance between family practicality and upscale design. With seating for 7, a long list of standard features, and a sleek profile that stands out among traditional boxy sport utility vehicles, the QX60 draws attention from drivers who want comfort, brand cachet, and versatility. The cabin is quiet, the materials are soft to the touch, and the ambient lighting adds an elegant atmosphere. On paper, it looks like a great alternative to more expensive European competitors. Unfortunately, that first impression rarely lasts beyond the honeymoon period. Beneath the luxurious wrapping lies a series of chronic reliability issues that have plagued this vehicle across multiple generations. Chief among them is the continuously variable transmission, a system that Nissan and its Infiniti division have used extensively but failed to perfect. In the QX60, the transmission is known for shuddering under light acceleration, jerky transitions, hesitation when merging or climbing hills, and in some cases, complete mechanical failure before reaching 100,000 miles. Despite software updates and supposed revisions over the years, complaints about the transmission persist across model years, from as early as 2013 to as recent as 2023. What makes the problem worse is how unprepared many dealerships are to deal with these issues. Owners frequently report delays in diagnosis, repeated service visits, or temporary fixes that fail to resolve the root cause. When warranty coverage runs out, the cost to replace a failed, continuously variable transmission can climb past $5,000, a devastating expense for a vehicle marketed as a luxury solution for families. While the interior design of the QX60 may initially impress, it often becomes a source of frustration over time. The touch interface is known for being sluggish, the infotainment system is outdated compared to German and Korean rivals, and the placement of key controls often confuses new drivers. Then there's the third-row seating. While Infiniti advertises the QX60 as a 7-passenger passenger vehicle. The third row is best suited for small children. Adults will find the legroom cramped, the seat bottom too low, and the access point awkward and difficult to maneuver. For a vehicle in this price range, third row practicality should be far better executed. On top of the drivetrain and interior shortcomings, many QX60 owners report mysterious electrical issues, what some refer to as electrical gremlins. Random warning lights, malfunctioning sensors, and intermittent failures in features like adaptive cruise control or lane keeping assist have been common across the model's life cycle. These issues chip away at driver confidence and diminish the supposed refinement of the ride. Think premium equals performance? This next joke proves even icons can lose their touch. BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. They are meant to deliver an experience, something refined, engaging, and aspirational. That ideal is what continues to draw drivers to one of Germany's most iconic automotive brands. With its bold front fascia, sloping roofline, and the weight of German engineering behind it, the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe presents itself as a gateway into performance luxury. It is marketed as the accessible entry point into BMW's lineup, targeted at younger, city-dwelling professionals who want prestige without the price tag of a 3 or 5 Series. On paper, it sounds like the perfect compromise. In practice, it is riddled with them. The first disappointment comes from its architecture. Unlike the rear-wheel drive platforms that earned BMW its reputation for handling precision, the 2 Series Gran Coupe rides on a front-wheel drive layout borrowed from European hatchbacks. That change fundamentally alters how the car feels on the road. Under acceleration, torque steer is noticeable. Steering feedback is vague, and the balanced, rear-driven dynamics that once defined the brand are nowhere to be found. Even in all-wheel drive versions, the handling lacks engagement. It feels more like a dressed-up commuter car than a compact sports sedan. Power comes from a 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, delivering 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission, it offers reasonably quick acceleration, but the performance is underwhelming. The engine lacks character, the exhaust note is muted, and above 60 miles per hour, the power delivery feels flat. In sport mode, the gearbox tries to mimic aggression with faster shifts, but the changes are mostly cosmetic. Inside, the cabin tries to impress with ambient lighting and a digital gauge cluster. Yet look closer, and the quality becomes inconsistent. Hard plastics dominate the doors and lower console. Rear seat space is limited. Headroom suffers from the sloped roof, and overall visibility is poor. The infotainment system is responsive, but the audio and screen layout feel merely functional, not premium. At over $40,000 for a well-optioned trim, the value just is not there. Cars like the Honda Civic Si or Hyundai Elantra N offer more fun, better practicality, and stronger equipment for less money. This is a car that wears a luxury badge but delivers a diluted experience. For longtime BMW enthusiasts, it feels like a betrayal. You want tragic? This last vehicle made such a mess of a comeback. It buried its own legacy. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. For drivers who remember the original Eclipse, the name still evokes images of a low-slung, turbocharged coupe carving through the streets with confidence. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Mitsubishi Eclipse was a symbol of affordable performance. Beloved by tuners, young enthusiasts, and street racers alike. With all-wheel drive options, a punchy turbocharged engine, and legitimate motorsports credibility, it earned its spot next to legends like the Toyota Celica and Honda Prelude. It was stylish, quick, and attainable, a car that blended form, function, and fantasy for an entire generation. So when Mitsubishi announced that the Eclipse was returning, anticipation ran high. What arrived, however, felt like a cruel joke. Instead of reviving the coupe that helped define an era, Mitsubishi unveiled the Eclipse Cross, a compact crossover that seemed determined to erase everything the original nameplate once stood for. The Eclipse Cross is not sporty. It is not exciting. It is not sleek or thrilling to drive. It is a small utility vehicle designed for urban errands, dressed in a badge that once meant speed, spirit, and rebellion. The disconnect is staggering. Under the hood, it is powered by a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 152 horsepower. and 184 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers might sound fine on paper until you press the pedal. Acceleration is sluggish, the power band is flat, and the continuously variable transmission drones loudly while robbing any sense of urgency. Highway passing maneuvers feel labored, and the driving experience has nothing in common with the car it's named after. Design is equally controversial. The Eclipse Cross tries to blend coupe-inspired curves with SUV practicality, resulting in a body that looks confused from every angle. The rear end, with its split-glass tailgate and oversized light bar, has been widely criticized. Inside, modern features like smartphone integration and a heads-up display are offered on some trims, but build quality feels below par. Hard plastics, awkward ergonomics, and limited rear seat comfort undermine any premium ambitions. From faulty transmissions to hidden engineering flaws, it's clear these brands should never have made it to the showroom floor. So, what do you think? Which of these vehicles left you stunned? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. If you want to stay in the loop, subscribe for more eye-opening car truths.